Alright, so in this last video we're going to see how to use Bootstrap to apply some styling and then begin to develop the look and feel of our website. So we're going to start in the base HTML file. Remember, this is the file that I ended up extending to my home page and about page. In this file, we're going to start by pulling in the styling sheets from Bootstrap. So to do that, if you go to bootstrap.com and look at the website and click on Getting Started, you'll be brought to this quick start where you can just copy and paste this link to the style sheet. So we take this link and we copy it and we paste it in a new, I put a head tag here, and within that head tag we can just paste that link, save this file, and now Bootstrap will be applied to the styling of the basic pages is now Bootstrap. And what Bootstrap is it has a bunch of styling elements worked out for us so that we can just go ahead and start using them. So there's some examples and themes here on the website. If you wanted to look at some of these examples, for example, this album, you can download all of these examples and see the HTML that structures these pages and is using Bootstrap styling to be applied to it. So we'll play with a little bit of this, including the nav bars and some cards here. But this is the main idea, is that to use Bootstrap, what do? We go in the base HTML file and pop that link to the style sheet in a head tag, and now we can use it. So for example, this is a nav bar that I found on Bootstrap, on Bootstrap's website. So I just go here and look at the documentation, and maybe I want a nav bar, so I can search for nav bar. Look through the different examples of nav bars. Here's one, here's one, here's one, and believe that this is the one that I used. So I just copy and pasted this HTML code and popped it in where I wanted my header here, and just changed the values. Like now I have Jacob's website, home, about, project 1 and project 2. And for these hrefs, again, you should notice this logic here. This is just like we were referring to elements before in our earlier nav bar, our basic nav bar. We were saying, oh, go and get this page, the URL to the about page, the URL to the home page. Now I'm in my completed folder, so I actually in this one named home and about lowercase in my views. In my URLs, about and home. So that's different than the last example where I ran into a problem because I had them lowercase instead of uppercase. But the idea is, the big idea here is just to use this kind of templating to produce a nicer looking page. And there's tons and tons of things that you can just play around with here. If you want a Jumbotron, you can look at the code for the Jumbotron. If you want some drop downs, collapse, carousels, which is moving, if you're going to use something like the carousels, you have to have JavaScript in here. So there is also in the Getting Started links, this is just a CSS. The JavaScript, if we want to use the JavaScript, we will copy and paste and put these guys in the same place in our header in that base file and save that. And now if we want to use any of the additional JavaScript components or something like that, we can from Bootstrap. And again, we can look at all of this code on this page shows us about the layout and so on and so on. How to display images are in here. And so that's the last piece is, yeah, what if I want some pictures on my website? Well, the way that Django handles this is through static files. So in our settings file, notice that we have the last piece here is the static URL equals static. So we have where the static files are established, and the next thing is to create a static folder, and I'm going to create that within, where is it? In my project, or I'm sorry, in my application. Here in my application is my static folder, and within that I keep my static images. So there was a process of mapping this static URL and then creating this static folder within my Pages application and keeping my pictures in there. So for example, on my home page, if I look at my my template for my home page, you see that I've called this image, but again, to refer to it, I've used the Django logic here. I say, go look in this static folder and find me in the home directory this picture of Hennessy. So like in this static folder in the home directory, I have a picture named Hennessy. Similarly, on a different page, on another page called my About page, I put some pictures in these cards that I found on Bootstrap. So I put a picture with Johnny Depp from 21 Jump Street, and here it is, Depp Jump Street, and I call that, again, using that logic here. It's in the static folder, home, Depp Jump Street. This should probably be in an About folder since it's not on my home page, but I just want to show you the idea of how we have to create this static folder, and then we populate it with our static files like images, and subsequently to call those images we use the logic just like we have in the references in our base file with our first navbar. So the only other things that you could do is you can create some other views that maybe display our notebooks. So the last piece of this is being able to create an HTML file out of those notebooks. Well, you can either just save them directly as HTML files. So I could just save this as an HTML file. You can also use NB-convert to create these files. So if I am in, for example, if I'm in, I shut down my server where I'm running these Jupyter notebooks, and okay, now if I list these files, I see, okay, I don't have my notebooks here. Here they are. And now, so I'm in the directory where all my IPython notebooks are. To convert these to HTML, so for example, you see that I have this HTML file instead of this IPython notebook file. To get that file, one way to do it is Jupyter NB convert. And the default is to HTML, so we'll just say to, Jupyter NB convert and pass the file name of the notebook. So 07 scraping jumpstreet.ipynb, and if I hit enter, it created an HTML. Now I didn't see anything change because I already had that HTML in there, but all I have to do now is take that HTML file, move it into my Django project, and create a view for it. So for here, I created a view for these two notebooks, the Intro to Pandas and the Scraping Jump Street one, named Django View and Django View 2. Created URLs for these called Project 1 and Project 2, where I view Django View or Django View 2 as a view, and I have these names. And so if I go to my page now, I'm going to launch my server here in this new site, and now I see everything. I see my completed site. I have this navbar that is a Bootstrap navbar that has links to, I added links to my different projects. Here's what that card layout looks like on that one page. This definitely needs to be nicer. Here's what one of the projects looks like. I included that in my navbar. Here's the other project about, and I can go home again. Okay, So this is where I hope you are. I'm sharing all of this entire file structure with you, so you can just kind of play around and change some things that you would like.